Alright, hello and thanks for tuning in. This is Weruop and this is going to be my guide on Bowser Jr. and the Koopalings. It is still pretty early in the game and there's lots of different ways that you can be playing this character and lots of other characters. But as long as the game's been out, I've been finding decent success with the character off at least the way that I've been playing him and off of sharing ideas with lots of other Bowser Jr. users. And so let's go ahead and get started. There's going to be about 5 or so parts to this, and I'm going to be trying to keep this around 20 to 25 minutes. So we're going to be having to move along pretty quickly, but I'm going to touch right now on the 5 parts of the video. The first part is going to be on basically intro and basics of the character. Part 2 is going to move more into your game plan, neutral, and your objectives. Part 3 we're going to talk more about combos, setups, and KO percents. Part 4 we're going to move into neutral, more in-depth neutral and advantage state. Part 5 is going to be mainly about disadvantage, and that should about be everything. So starting with part 1, what defines this character? We're going to talk about their strengths, their weaknesses, and their quirks. The main strength with Bowser Jr. and the Koopalings is going to be their disjoints, their juggling, their edge guarding, their reward mainly off grab, stage control, and flexibility with recovery. Your weaknesses with Bowser Jr. and the Koopalings are going to be landing, walling speedy zone breakers out, dealing with some faster zoners, people using Mecha Koopa against you, and at times killing on stage. Some quirks and notes about this character are that they take increased or decreased damage based on where they're getting hit. And it's also important to note that Nair is safe on shield and can also be used against projectiles now. It's important to note Cannonball buffs and how that can be used against projectiles. The shield damage on that move, spin out, and back air are all important now. And yeah. So moving into part 2, we're going to start talking about your basic game plan. Alright, so part 2, moving into game plan and neutral and your objective. Mainly with Bowser Jr., you're going to be looking for up throw. It's going to lead into uppers for you. At most percents, even as low as 0. You're also going to be looking for neutral air a lot, because that's going to combo into grab for you at low percents, and then eventually dash grab too. You're going to have other options too that are going to help you, like forward tilt, back air, just whiffing neutral air, even in neutral, is going to be useful. And if you have a little bit of space on people, Cannonball is going to be useful as well. But especially it's going to be your neutral air and your grab. We'll talk more about percents later on those. But as long as you're looking for those and trying to move in and pressure your opponent, that's going to be where you're going to find all of your reward, is mainly off those different options, and especially grab and neutral air. One little note about jab is that it's so quick with its cancel, and it has enough range to where you can almost be using it, especially with short hops, as a sort of poke against your opponent, in the same way that you would want to use F tilt in different ways to poke at the opponent, or even forward air to box certain people out. Neutral air is going to function a lot in that same way, and you're going to be able to move quickly afterwards. And that should be about it on part 2. We'll talk more in depth later. So moving into part 3, we're going to be talking about combos, setups, and KO percents. These are mainly going to be trying to avoid uses with Mecha Koopa and Cannonball, and we'll talk more about things like that later on. So right now this is going to mainly pertain to neutral air, up tilt, sometimes forward air, and different ways that we can land our neutral air to combo into different things. So just to touch on a couple of the smaller options, you do have up tilt, which is going to be good, especially from the 10s and 20s. It's going to lead often into a second up tilt, or immediately just into up airs. So it's a really nice option. It also works as an anti-air, and you can also approach with that with a pivot cancel, and a pivot cancel turnaround up tilt like that. and it's just a nice anti-air. It doesn't have too much end lag. It's comparative to the forward tilt. So you also have late forward air, which can actually combo into up tilt at times, which is nice. Alright, so with Nair, you're going to kind of want to look at it as you're going to want to keep an eye on the opponent's percent, and depending on if they're from 0 to 20, 20 to 40, 40 to 60, or 60 to 80, you're going to want to look for different parts of Nair. From 0 to 20, sweet spot Nair is often going to give you enough time to get a dash grab off. Sometimes I won't start till 10 to 20. But yeah, sweet spot Nair, whether you land it really up close with really up close or just a little further out, it's gonna it should be giving you enough time, and at least moving from 10 to 20, you should have about 15 frames or so to get that dash grab. Moving on from 20 to 40, you're gonna want to mix in full hop Nairs more. From 20 to 40, that late Nair is gonna combo into up tilt, sometimes dash attack, and other times forward tilt. You're not exactly going to get dash grab from 20 to 40 from late neutral air so much. We'll talk more about that later, but you'll still get some rewards with sweet spot neutral air from 20 to 40, especially because it'll cause tech situations. But it's still nice from 20 to 40 to mix in the full hop neutral air, because that's going to now allow you to get grabs off as well. So now you can look for it through sweet spot neutral air and late neutral air. The sweet spot neutral air is going to be especially useful against fast fallers, because it's going to be more likely to set up for those tech situations. So as your opponents move into the 40s and the 50s, your late neutral air will not just combo into up tilt and dash attack and forward tilt in the occasional standing grab, but now late Nair will often combo into dash grab, so that's going to be really useful as well. It's just an example of that. Real quick, before moving on to the other percents too, it's important to notice that neutral air has a really early hitbox that comes out immediately, then it has middle hitboxes and late hitboxes. And between all those three timings, you can get different damage outputs depending on if the opponent is hit by the tips of the boxing gloves or closer to the cart. So it's important to note those differences and be aware of when you're hitting with the early parts of Nair, middle, or late. Moving on into the 60s to 80s, against your light characters like Sheik, from about 60 to 75, you're gonna want to land that 6 damage part of Nair, and you're gonna want to land that by hitting them with pretty much the outside of the boxing glove and right about in the middle of the move, not too early on. If you do it too early on, you're gonna get this 8.4, and you'll get this 6.6 too, I believe, if they are really close to the cart but in the middle hitbox. But if you get that 6 damage one, if you can get the 6 damage, then that's going to be really nice, because between say 60 and 75 on light characters, you're still going to get your dash grab off. And this can lead to down throw and send opponents towards the blast zones, which is really nice. On heavies like say Ridley, from 60 to 90, you can still get your Nair to your dash grab. Alright, so part 3, still in part 3 now, we're going to move on to different kill setups and ways that you can set up edge guards. You can start doing this as early as on Cannonball, say around 50. You can start looking for kills. If you have them backed into the ledge, your down throw is going to be setting up for edge guard situations. You can pretty much just immediately... Oh, I forgot there's that stage. You're going to be pretty much just immediately fishing for forward airs or blocking characters with bad recoveries out. As early as 50 with down throw. You're also going to be able to get edge guard situations with jab a little bit later at about 55. Just a little bit later, because you have a little more cooldown on your jab, so it takes a little longer for you to get out there and guard them. So about 55, 60 on, say, Ganon. Another thing to look for is going to be neutral air into side B to up B. This is going to be, if we're going by percents, this is going to be the next thing you can get off on him. At 75, you can get neutral air to side B to up B off, and that can get kills from even center stage of most stages, pretty much all stages, because that's going to be sending them towards the end of the stage by the time that combo finishes. So you can do that as early as 75 on Ganon. Climbing percents. You're also going to have neutral air to spin out shortly after, about 85. And that's going to like kill confirm, and if not, it's going to usually set you up for edge guards on most characters, especially ones with burst recoveries. Let's pull the percent back just a second and talk about spin out too. Spin out can actually also set up for edge guard situations about as early as like 65 even. If you have them way out by the ledge, probably even 55 or so. About the same percent that you're doing like down throw to edge guard. But yeah. Alright, so we're going to be on Battlefield now. Going back into the 80s. From about underneath the Battlefield platform over here. You can get side B to up B kill confirms with no DI. So with no DI, underneath the Battlefield platform over here, you can get side B to up B confirms as early as that percent. A lot of the side B to up B confirms, and even nair to side B to up B is going to be avoidable if the opponents are DIing properly. Same goes for a lot of the nair stuff too, but still most of the times the opponents are not going to have optimal DI. They're going to be trying their own things in these situations, or a lot of times even trading, and so you're still going to get your reward off. And just by looking for these options, you're going to eventually learn what works and what doesn't work best. So moving a little higher of percents into the hundreds. Underneath the Battlefield platform, you're going to be getting kills on heavies like Ganondorf. Is that what you had? At just higher percents on heavies, say 115, you're going to start getting kills off back air. Or edge guard setups off back air. Come like right in here. Yeah. There's going to be some options that are going to be maybe a little bit harder to land, but still going to be options nonetheless that will be killing. Actually, the first one I want to talk about, which isn't even harder to land, is going to be jab. And the reason for that is that jab's really quick. It's going to be frame 4. But if you can land jab anywhere from maybe the edge to around this platform, usually in the hundreds to like 130s, it's usually going to get kills or start edge guard situations, so it's going to be another really nice option. I know we did touch on it a little bit, but just to bring up too, it doesn't only set up for edge guards, jab can kill too, so it's good to look for. Up in the 130s, you're going to start having up smash kill, and you're also going to start having down tilt set up for strong edge guards or kill situations on lighter characters, if you can get all the hits ever. Here's an example of up smash. So a lot of those same percents you can adjust depending on if you're fighting more mid-weights or more of lightweights. On characters like as light as Pikachu, you can start getting F smash kills at 80. You can start getting bear to kill at around 95. Spin out killing at 85 to 90. You can get nair to spin out to kill at 75 if they miss their DI. Up smash will start killing around 107. But yeah, those are more specific ranges for like lighter characters. But alright, part 4, we're going to move into neutral a little more in depth, and advantage state. We're going to talk about Mecha Koopa, Cannonball, conditioning, and adapting. Alright, so an important part about neutral is going to be understanding that your neutral layer is not going to be totally safe on shield unless you space it properly. So a big thing you're going to need to understand in neutral is going to be how to fade away neutral layer to make it a little bit safer against a lot of options. And you're also going to want to defend it a bit with forward air, pretty much. Short hop forward air or full hop forward air. Which doesn't have too bad of an auto cancel window. I think you can forward air from around the top of your full hop and still get it to auto cancel in time, which is nice. And then you do have that landing hitbox on there too to mix up on people's shields. So then you'll have like the single hit with your neutral air and the 2 hits with the forward air. And you can also cross these up on shield, and it's not too difficult, so it's another good thing to look for. But yeah, just really good to understand. Neutral air will also help you against certain projectiles like boomerangs, arrows, a lot of different, just pretty much a lot of different items in general. It's important to test what works, because neutral air will just outright just eat different enemy projectiles. So it can really help you get in, really help you with landing, and it's important to look for. Also, moving into neutral, we want to talk about a little bit of Cannonball. When you have a bit of distance on your opponent, it can be a really nice tool to condition, to beat out projectiles, and to just get opponents to jump, basically. You're going to want to basically do this by full hop cannonballing. By releasing this immediately, you can shoot this just above opponents, and then by slightly charging it, you can release it a little bit closer to the ground. With short hop cannonball, it's always going to release at that lower distance pretty much, so it's going to be a good reason that full hop cannonball is going to be nice to mix your opponent up, so that they're not always expecting just the low one. Although even just that can be useful too with the shield damage. It will get a lot of people to jump for you, so from there you can move in slowly and start applying pressure. It's important to know that Cannonball can actually be approached with too, even on stages without platforms. You can double jump Cannonball and run up to it in time. You can full hop Cannonball and get to it in time. I think I can do it from about here even. Yeah, so it's a really nice tool. You can actually even get shield break setups off of this. Go back to that same spot. It's a really nice tool. You can even get setups off of this around the ledge to break shield. Yeah, your shield has to be super fresh. You can get even setups for shield break off of this at certain parts. You can get to it in time. It's really nice. Yeah, Cannonball, as long as you're getting, you usually can't get to it in time if you're shooting it from the ground, but if you full hop it or double jump it, you can definitely get to it in time. Usually the only issue is just having enough space to set it up, and it's going to be nice to set up if you, say you win neutral, and then you can get Mecha Koopa out, and then start charging Cannonball, approach with Mecha Koopa. Basically, it's going to be a nice reward for winning neutral Cannonball, and then it's also just going to be nice when you have that bit of space that your opponent's giving you, because then you can hopefully condition them to react to something or jump or do whatever before you start moving in. It's just nice to get some sort of little stage control going, so it's good to look for. I want to talk about Mecha Koopa as well. I want to talk about Mecha Koopa and begin by talking about the walking distance of Mecha Koopa. It walks the full length of Final Destination, so if you're on Battlefield, it walks about more than a full stage length. As you'll see, it can make it from one side all the way to the other. And then on FD, it'll be like, it won't overlap as much. So on Final Destination, for example, here, let's just go so we can see. So With Mecha Koopa, there's a lot of different things going on with it. There's a lot of different things to learn and understand. Probably the first thing though is going to be understanding the walking distance of it. The walking distance of Mecha Koopa is going to be about a full Final Destination stage length. So you'll see there it walks just about a full stage length and then overlaps just a little bit. And so this is nice to know because then when you say win neutral, you can set that up backstage for yourself and know exactly where it's going to be. So say I dropped it there, I know I'm going to have all this space in here pretty much and be able to pick it up around there. Say that I'm going to want to approach with Mecha Koopa and I have enough time to set it up. Well then just knowing that alone is going to help you know how to follow up and know where your opponent's going to want to be and where they're going to want to avoid. It's going to be important also to know how to deploy Mecha Koopa different ways. You can fade away and deploy Mecha Koopa. You can do side B into a reverse down B. You can deploy Mecha Koopa off stage for edge guards. You can employ it just at the lip and then have it bounce off. You can full hop forward with Mecha Koopa to catch up to it more easily. And just a lot of different things. Your main use though, especially if you don't have total space for it, is going to be that fadeaway deployment. And it's still going to be possible for speedy opponents and just many opponents in general to get to you in time, so it's not the best option unless you have a lot of space, but it is an option nonetheless. More advanced techniques with the Mecha Koopa is going to be Z-drop into recatch aerial. It's a bit easier in this game than before. I think that the range that you can grab the item from is easier, and so they made it so that you can even do forward airs approaching with it in hand a lot easier than it was before. It was almost impossible in the last game. So that's really nice. You can even do it out of the jump cancel cart. It's not too difficult with a bit of practice. Definitely a lot easier than it has been before. So definitely something that's good to practice and will help you keep pressure on and bait jumps while still being able to throw out your aerials like forward air and neutral air. Even up air if they're above you for whatever reason. Last way I want to touch on Mecha Koopa is going to be approaching with it grounded, and that's going to go back to that backwards deployment especially. If you have enough time to set this up, it can be nice because you can pick up Mecha Koopa with tilts. You can pick it up with jump Z, jump aerial, just lots of different ways. And just by moving forward with this behind you, it gives you a lot of options, and it also gives you nice defense because it's going to make a lot of opponents second guess dash grabbing, dash attacking, doing landing aerials near you, and just a lot of things. And so there's another benefit to that, and it's important to understand how your opponent reacts to that when you set it up too. Alright, part 5, we're going to move into disadvantage. We're going to talk about breaking out of combos, landing, getting to the ledge, recovering, and coming off the ledge. We're also going to talk about how to not put yourself into disadvantage and the most careful things to maybe look for in neutral and things to just be wary of so that you don't constantly put yourself in bad situations without even knowing it. So to start with combo breaking and landing, in general at lower percents you're going to be wanting to neutral air dodge through stuff rather than directional air dodge. The directional air dodge at lower percents is going to allow opponents to start their juggles again, re-grab you again, just follow up a lot more easily. And if you are going to be looking to air dodge to break through combos, I would just be looking for that neutral air dodge more so at lower percents. You're also going to have neutral air to combo break in the air, and side B to help you land. You can even side B to spin out, and side B and come back. I wouldn't recommend obviously going all the way off stage, but when you're up here off stage getting juggled, it's definitely an option. Let's Let's move on to recovery. Moving on to recovery, it's important to understand all your different options, and pretty much a big thing that you want to do is to save your double jump for as long as you can, and to also drift back whenever need be when you're out near that blast zone. And I know it does sound pretty crazy, but this area all in here where I'm jumping is going to be like a big danger zone, and a big area where opponents are going to try to get you to do different things and different options. But just by pulling backwards just out there and then using that jump, you're gonna keep a lot of your options open, and this allows you to stay below your opponents, which isn't always like the best thing, but as long as you are aware of like your spacing down there, you're up being low if you need to, you're air dodging if you need to, there's plenty of different ways to mix it up. You can still get edge guarded, but he does have a really flexible recovery for the most part, so just experiment different ways and try to not just be up being from the same spots, pretty much. It's okay to recover high, it's okay to land on stage, it's okay to air dodge and then go to ledge. Yeah. Once you eventually get to ledge, there's a couple different ways. Once you eventually get to ledge, there's plenty of ways to come off. It's going to be really important to be patient mainly though, and also just keep a close eye on your opponent is going to be the #1 thing. That in combination with knowing all your options is going to help you out the most. You have jump neutral air, jump air dodge, which you can still neutral air in time for. You can jump and then air dodge. One thing that I like to do, if I have a bit of room on the opponent, is to ledge jump and then cannonball charge right here. You can release it just before you land to re-grab ledge, and that will auto cancel, or you can keep charging it and release it on stage, which is a nice surprise too. But if you are backed into the ledge or don't feel the need to immediately run towards center stage from there, it can be a nice mix-up for sure. You do have your side B to help you at the ledge. You do have the obvious ledge roll, other options like that, but just to touch on some of the more tricky options, those are a handful of them, and hopefully they can help you out when you're in disadvantaged state. Alright, so thank you for tuning in. I know that it might be a bit long and a little bit messy at some parts, but I will try to define some parts of it in the comments if I can. I want to thank Chill for helping me with recording footage and setup, and the Bowser Jr. Discord and all the Bowser Jr. Mains for just sticking together and coming together with information. And yeah, thanks for watching.